to our webinar on creativity. It's amazing to be back here. Thank you to the British Council for inviting us back, not just for one webinar, but for 6. We've got a series of webinars on creativity, and this is the first one, and we're super excited to be here and to see so many people from around the world. It's quite humbling. Wonderful. Okay, now we will be asking you to use the chat box quite a lot in this session, so do get your laptops ready or your phones ready. And here are the aims of our session today. It's just coming through for me, Sarah. It hasn't come through yet. Got them there, Sarah?
Sorry, got disconnected right at the start of our webinar. All right, here they are.
Great start.
Yeah.
Super start.
Can you see them now?
Yeah, we can see them now. Okay.
All right.
So we've got 2 main topics, 2 aims that we're going to look at today. And as you can see, there are some words missing from the aims. The words in the top right-hand corner: ideas, creative thought, and closer look at. So let's look at our first aim. Take a creativity, what it is and what it's not. Can you write? Everybody's doing it already. They're ahead of me. Take a closer look at. Yes, super. Exactly. We're going to take a closer look at creativity, what it is and what it isn't. And we're going to explore ideas. Yes. Wow, you guys are quick. Ideas and techniques to engage students in creative thought. Okay, if we take these 2 topics now and start to reflect on them for ourselves, and we'll be doing this throughout the session, getting you to reflect on these topics. Have a look at the confidence thermometer at the bottom. We've got green. I need a bit of help with this. We've got the yellow. I've completed this. I know what these are. I'm happy with that. Or red. You know what? Closer look at creativity, explore ideas, creative thought. I've got this. I can teach it to someone else. That's how confident I am. Put in the chat, green, yellow or red. Where are you? Have a little reflection. Daniel's on green. Ahmed is on green. Some reds going on. That's great. You can help us out. Some greens, yellows. Wonderful.
So we're mostly around here, Hitler. Green, yellow. Okay.
Yeah, super. So hopefully that will increase as the session goes on. And thank you for sharing all your colours. It's like a little traffic light coming through now. Okay, let's get started. Sarah?
Yeah?
Are you creative?
That's putting me on the spot a little bit, Claire. I don't know really how to answer that. Am I creative? I don't think I'm going to answer it. I think I'm going to let you and the participants decide whether I'm creative or not as the session goes through. But it is an interesting question. And it's a question that I guess many of us have asked, or many of us have been asked at some point in our lives, right? And sometimes we might answer like I did now with a bit of hesitation or even humility. But however we answer this question, our reply is likely informed by some common preconceptions about what creativity actually is and what it means. And I guess creativity, I don't know if you agree with me, Claire, it's a term that has a kind of mystical aura, like a kind of special power, right?
Yeah, you've got a genius.
Exactly. But at the same time, it's also the most fundamentally human of qualities, right? So I've got a question for you now for our participants, actually. And Claire, I'd like you to monitor the chat box for this one.
Okay.
So what words come to mind when you think of creativity? Okay, so creativity, what's the first word that comes into your mind? Write your answers in the chat box.
Imaginative, new ideas.
Okay.
Innovation. thinking out the box.
Okay.
Oh, they're coming in super quickly. New idea, creation.
All right.
Breaking the mold.
Okay. Art. I can't type fast enough. One more, Claire.
I know that there's loads coming in. It's amazing. Okay. It's actually a little bit of a test.
Yeah. All right then. So exactly. So these are very common words that come up when we think of creativity, and we're actually going to return to them a little bit later on in the session. But first of all, Claire, do you have a definition of creativity?
Well, when it comes to defining creativity, this is what Agustín Fuentes, an anthropologist at Princeton University, has to say. He says the essence of creativity is to look at the world around us, see how it is, and imagine other possibilities that not are immediately present or based on our immediate personal experience. Creativity is seeing the possibilities and then trying to make those imaginings into material reality. And he also says that creativity gets pigeonholed. He says this: people pigeonhole creativity as belonging to a single individual or a group of geniuses. We might think of Michelangelo, we might think of, I know, the Beatles. They don't realize that each and every human has this incredible capacity to imagine and to change things. Auto mechanics can be amazingly creative. So can people trying to stretch a paycheck to the end of the month. And this is interesting because so many people label themselves as either creative or non-creative, but creativity is present in all of us. It's just about how we tap into it. So, Sarah, I've got a little challenge for you here. And by the way, everyone listening, she hasn't seen this before, okay? This is a real live challenge. Are you ready?
I have to do it now.
Yeah.
In front of everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What's the challenge?
All right. The challenge is this. All right. I want you to write a haiku about something you can see in your room.
A haiku is a haiku is a poem.
It is.
Right. It's got 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables.
That's
5
right.
syllables.
Good. About something you can see in your room. Anything you can see in your room. Okay, off you go.
How long do I have for this? Claire, wait, you're really putting me on the spot. How long do I have?
About a minute.
Okay.
Don't forget to be creative.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh, this is really embarrassing. Something I can see.
Yeah, anything you can see, just put it down. Be creative as you can.
You're not helping. Okay.
Yeah.
That's 4 syllables. Wait a sec. Oh God, I'm sweating this out a bit.
Good job we're online.
It's roguish a word?
Yeah, roguish.
I think that's a word.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Good word. Creative though, yeah?
Yeah, Claire, I'm trying my best. How long do I have left?
Few seconds. Yeah. Who is it really is? Okay, that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. So, right,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. How did you feel doing that?
Awful. A little bit annoyed at you.
Nothing new there. Nothing new there.
A little bit embarrassed, but no, really, I felt a lot of pressure, and I'm quite embarrassed about what I wrote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry to do that to you.
It's okay, Claire. I forgive you.
I know that you will take revenge. Okay, so let's think about this, everybody. Why didn't this work? Why didn't this creative task work? Is Sarah just excruciatingly uncreative?
Thanks. Well, Claire, you know what? I wonder whether the problem was me or you there. So, when we asked what comes to mind, people think of creativity, a lot of our participants say arts, creating something new. There's this sense of freedom, right? And this sort of unrestrained feeling to it all. And you definitely gave me some freedom and space in this challenge for sure.
Yeah.
And I think it can be really tempting to think of creativity as having absolute freedom. And George Steiner defines creativity as that which is enacted freedom in his grammars of creation. And some writers and artists see creativity as breaking boundaries, which I think was one of the phrases we had when we asked our participants what words come to mind, right?
Yeah.
But when we approach creativity in this way in the classroom, students tend to do exactly what I just did and freeze up and produce something that they're not necessarily very proud of. So it can be more successful, more useful to think of creativity differently. And a feature which characterizes all creative processes is the challenge of balancing various constraints in a constructive manner. Stokes goes a little bit further with this and finds that constraints actually promote creativity, saying that the more constrained the solution paths are, the more variable, the more creative the problem solvers are. And then in an interview, the artist Damien Correll echoes this, saying constraints usually make me think in a different way than I would maybe naturally think. And this makes the process more enjoyable. The final output is usually something I'm more proud of. So speaking of artists, we actually have an artist with us today. Okay, this is my revenge to you, Claire. And here is an artwork that our very own Claire created a few years back. I've got some questions about it, Claire. Is it okay if I ask you?
Yeah.
All right. So this is your artwork here. What did you want to say through your art with this image?
I'd read an article about a whale that had been washed up on shore because it was it had like massive loads and loads and loads and loads of plastic in its stomach. So yeah, I wanted to kind of raise awareness of this through an illustration, through an image.
Right. And did you have a clear final image of the artwork before you started it?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. And I don't often.
Right. So then what goes through your mind when working on a piece of art?
It's a process, really. It's a process of kind of problem solving and collecting ideas and filtering out those ideas, lots of sketches, lots of work. So I was thinking of everything plastic. I was thinking of everything in the sea, putting things together, and yeah, it's a whole process.
So would you say then that it's more about the process rather than the final product?
Yes. Yeah, for me, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
all right.
creative thought is problem solving and the ideas and everything coming together. And then, as it said in the last quote, then you're more proud of the final product.
Right. So in summary then, creativity really blossoms when, first of all, constraints are imposed in some way, and when we focus on the process rather than the final product, right? Yeah. That's interesting that you say this, Claire, because experts say that creativity is actually a structured process that can be applied in areas of study and work outside of the arts. And because it's a process rather than, say, a spontaneous stroke of genius, they're calling for creativity and the process of this to be taught to students of all ages in order to adequately prepare them for the future.
Right, that's right. Okay, so just to try this out then, I've got another challenge for you, Sarah.
I wish you told me about this before the webinar. What is it?
Okay, so it's another haiku, right?
Okay.
But here are your instructions. Right, choose an object that's on your desk or in your room
Yeah.
Something that you use often, big or small. And when you write your haiku, you're going to write your haiku about the object to honor it. So your first line with the 5 syllables will be to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Second, what you use it for.
Right.
And the last line will be to thank it.
Okay.
Now, I have to say here that, and some people have written this in the chat as well, creativity needs time. And of course, students would have much more time than I'm about to give Sarah, which is about a minute. Again,
all right. Okay, so I start now, Claire?
Yeah.
All right, and participants, please do this with me. So if you want to write your own haiku, that would be great. Okay, so I start now.
Yeah.
Okay. No. Oh no, that's way too long.
Love it.
Is that? I think those are the right syllables, I think.
I think so.
Okay.
Excellent. So how did you feel with this challenge compared to the first one?
I felt a lot better. I felt that it was far more structured. I had more information to help me do the task. I was kind of, okay, I changed my mind about the object that I was going to use. And then I was kind of searching for words a little bit because of the time limit, but I'm more proud of the outcome. I mean, it's not publishable, but
you never know, Sarah. You never know.
Yeah, thanks. Do you know what my object is, by the way?
Let's have a guess. Let's see whether we can guess in the chat. I think I know. People have been writing their own. They've been amazing.
Fantastic.
A coffee mug.
Yeah,
coffee
it is. It is. Yeah, you're absolutely right. There it is. So thank you for that, Claire.
All right, let's have a look at what we just did then. So we took a closer look at creativity, what it is and what it's not. And you don't need to write in the chat now, but just have a little think about where you are on the confidence thermometer, whether you've learned a little bit more and a bit more confident about what creativity is and isn't in the classroom. All right. Sarah, what's next?
So next, we're going to explore some ideas and techniques to engage our students in creative thought. You ready, Claire?
Yeah, let's do it. How do we develop creative thinkers? There are 3 techniques that we can use in our classroom to help our students develop creative thought. The first one, encourage students to observe. Second one, apply certain constraints, and we looked at that a little bit before. And foster a sense of wonder and encourage curiosity, so deeper thinking. All right, let's start with observe. Sarah, how do you get your students to observe the world around them?
Okay, so I've got a great activity here, and it helps students observe the world around them and their immediate environment. And it's useful for both young learners and our adult students. So it's quite versatile. Okay. Yeah. So a famous artist named Paul Klee said that color is the place where our brain and the universe meet. And I absolutely love this quote because colors are universal, right? They're amazing. They speak every language. They show our moods, our feelings, our memories. They describe, you know, how we feel something, physical surfaces like the feel of grass or, I don't know, your computer mouse, right? So colors are absolutely amazing. So Claire and our lovely participants, I've got a task for you. I'd like you to choose a color, all right? It might be your favorite color. It could be a color that you haven't worn or given much thought to in a while.
Okay.
Okay, don't tell me your color, but have you got one?
Yeah. Okay. I have. Yeah.
All right. Some of our participants are telling us the color already, but that's fine. That's absolutely fine. All right. Now, take a walk around your room or the space where you are.
Okay.
And I want you to take your time to see and feel all the things that are this color. Okay, so and I also want you to imagine your body as this color inside and out. Okay, and participants, I want you to do this as well. So you're going to get up, walk around your room and explore this specific color. Come back in 30 seconds. You ready?
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Okay, see you in 30 seconds. Right. 20 seconds. 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm here.
Hey, Claire.
That was really fun. I like that.
How did you feel when you were doing that activity?
I was amazed actually how many things I haven't looked at for a while.
Okay, right. So I've got to ask you about your color. Okay, the color that you chose. And for everybody participating, you might want to write your answers in your notebook, in the chat box, in the comments on Facebook under the live stream. It is absolutely up to you. But Claire, you're going to tell me, okay?
Okay.
So how does your color move?
Smoothly and calmly.
Okay. In what season was it born?
In the height of summer.
What place or places does it take you to?
Home.
Lovely. What time of day or night does it like?
From dawn till dusk.
Okay, and what does your color wish for?
It wishes for respect and kindness.
What does your color sound like?
Ooh. A tree rustling.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Or a rustling tree.
And what is the shape of your color?
Oh, round and spiraling.
All right. So can we guess what Claire's color was? I think it was green.
Yeah, green.
It was green.
There's all sorts of colors coming through, but it was green. Yeah.
Yours was green. Okay. Yeah. So here is what 2 of my students produce. I'm very proud of them. When I give them the same task in the classroom, right? We've got Alex, who's 10 years old, and we've got Marcos, who is 8. And these are their poems, because essentially after you answer those questions, you create a poem, right? What do you think, Claire?
I love them. They're so visual as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, you're going to notice that one student writes much more than the other. And that's, you know, a lot of that is due to age. We have to take the age into consideration, but it's not about quantity. Each poem is equally beautiful, right? Quantity has got nothing to do with it. And isn't important when we think of creativity. So we've looked at how we might encourage our students to observe the world around them.
Yeah.
Now let's look at how we can apply certain constraints to what they produce to encourage more creative thought. So one way we can do this is impose constraints on content. For example, we could provide prompts for students to work from, provide questions for students to answer, provide inspiration for students to write about or respond to. They could even draw something. And we can also include a problem-solving element as well. So let's look at an example. Here is an example of an activity from a course book. It says, write an email to a company to complain about a faulty product. Write in a formal style. Think of a product, problem, consequence, and action requested. What do you think of this, Claire?
Yeah, I go straight to exams and business English. Yeah, it's your typical exam question, isn't it? Yeah.
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 Good. Do you think it's creative?
No, it's really boring.
Yeah, it's not very creative at all. So we need to impose some constraints.
Yeah.
Okay. So Claire, you're my student now.
Yeah.
All right. And what do you have to write about in the first paragraph?
The product and the problem.
Okay. So choose a product. Choose a number.
Number 8.
Number 8. Aha, Star Wars action figure. You got lucky.
Brilliant.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's your product.
Yeah.
Choose now a problem.
Number 1.
Number 1.
It's too big.
Okay, we'll run with that.
Yeah.
Let's now go to a consequence. Choose a consequence for me.
Number 6.
All right.
This is the most exciting thing I've done in a year. My whole house smells because my Star Wars figure is too big.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Let's work that out. Okay. And now, of course, you've got to request an action from the supplier. So what's it going to be?
Number 2.
You want $1,000 of compensation.
At least.
At least, yeah.
Yes.
All right. No. So Claire, as my student, how do you feel about this task now?
Now I want to do it. Now I'm like, now I'm thinking, yeah, no, it's much more engaging, isn't it? So I love it because, sorry to interrupt, but I love it because you're using the same language. You're still doing all those exam technique things, you know, formatting and the language prompts. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So it's up to you as my student to kind of connect all of that information together in a kind of coherent way, right? And that means that it's more fun. It encourages flexibility, creative problem solving. And at the same time, as you said, it still develops those exam skills. In this case, we've got writing skills that we are developing with our students. So yeah, it's really important then for us as teachers, when we're looking at a course book or published materials, to be able to think about how we can make it a little bit more creative for the students and encourage a kind of problem solving element. And it's all about what constraints we impose on the content. Yeah. All right. Now, it's not just about imposing kind of content constraints, but also language constraints. So here's an activity that's called show, don't tell. All right.
Okay.
Now, in this activity, the teacher displays a selection of sentences that tells the reader something. All right. And it's up to the students to rewrite them in a way that shows the information rather than tells. For example, my teacher is happy could become, my teacher whistles a cheerful song as she walks into the class and beams a huge smile at us all. So this is really about unpacking emotions and finding ways to let the reader or the listener see the story for themselves. Okay, kind of goes back to the whole idea of observing. So Claire, I think it's lunchtime where you are.
It is, yeah.
So could you try my teacher is hungry?
My teacher's stomach is rumbling like a train in a tunnel.
Great, absolutely. So this is something that we can get our students to play with as well, no matter what the topic is. We can also impose structural constraints. For example, dictating the number of words that a student can use in a sentence, or the number of syllables, like you did with me, Claire, with the haiku activity.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you want to hear a story?
Yeah, always want to hear a story.
It's a true story.
Oh, even better.
I know. What do you think my story is about?
The President of the United States?
Yeah. And remember, it's true. Every word of this is true. Okay. So, Claire, I want you to listen to my story, but as a teacher with your teacher hat on, I want you to tell me at the end what you think the constraints were.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. So, Claire, I met the president really at this party, standing by the coat closet. He shook my hand. Sarah, nice to meet you. He shook my hand. Can you believe it? I smiled. Then my voice, it caught, it cracked. I lost it down around my ankle. Couldn't speak, not a word, not a sound, not a syllable. He waited, smiled, kind of concerned, then moved on to the person beside me. They had a voice. Mr. President, they said.
Oh, brilliant.
Do you believe me?
No.
Thanks. All right. So, Claire, what were the constraints, do you think, that I imposed here?
Like short sentences, like no more than what, 4 or 5 words?
Yeah.
Like
It's a story in 5 words or less. So each sentence can have no more than 5 words, right? Excellent. And here are some of the prompts that I gave my students so that they could write their own story. So it could be bungee jumping for the first time, visiting a foreign country, meeting your favorite celebrity. For adult students, learning to drive. What else could you do with this, Claire?
It sounds like a rap. I'd rap it out. Don't ask me to do that though, please.
Don't ask me to do that either. Yeah, you could get your students to rap it or sing it. Absolutely. Nice. So we have encouraged students to observe. We've applied content structural constraints. What else, Claire? What are we going to do now?
We're going to foster a sense of wonder and create curiosity.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do now. And one way we can do this is by using this creative thinking technique, which is called reversal thinking. And this helps to think about things from a different perspective. It's all about changing the order of words in a question that's exploring a problem. Okay, so for example, all right, let's say we're exploring this problem in class, why not? How can we make homework more enjoyable? And of course, the students might say, oh, okay, we need more pictures, or we need less writing, whatever. But if we flip that, if we reverse that question and ask the question, how can we make homework less enjoyable? This is where the fun happens, right? My students had a ball doing this. So what do you think they said first, Sarah?
Oh, have tons of it. Tons and tons of homework.
They did, yeah. They said have loads and loads of it. Exactly. Yeah. They also said to write so much that my hand falls off. I mean, some of the comments were brilliant. Endless, this is my favorite, endless grammar gap fills about people I don't know. I mean, how many times have we done that to students?
Guilty. Absolutely guilty, yeah.
Yeah. My grades and my future depend on it. Very dramatic, that one. And some of them were saying too easy, too hard. So some of them were saying if it's too easy, it's not very motivating. And equally, if it's too hard, there's no motivation to do it. There's not enough support and it causes lots of stress.
Right.
So they've done this kind of brainstorming and it's all kind of, fun and engaging. And then we sort of go back to the original problem, all right? So how can we make homework more enjoyable? And the trick here is to encourage deeper thinking rather than just making a negative into a positive or vice versa. And really, really think of a solution, like in reality, taking in, you know, we have to do homework. So instead of, like when they said loads of it, instead of saying none of it, they actually came up with this idea. We work on a homework schedule as a whole class. That's a brilliant creative idea, isn't it? Lots of writing, loads of grammar gap fills, not never any writing or any grammar. They came up with, we get a choice. This can be given by the teacher or decided by the learners. Again, two great things that we can do in the class, and they all came up by the students. So let's have a look at some more examples that Sarah and I thought of that you could do in class. Do ghosts believe in us? How can we escalate an argument? How can we make the negative impact on climate change worse? How can we be slower at learning new words? How can we meditate unsuccessfully? What are the worst conditions for plants to grow?
That's my garden, Claire.
Took the words right out of the mouth.
Thanks.
And then everybody's going to think I'm really horrible to you. Okay, how can we design the worst poster to raise awareness of an issue? And this, it's just incredible kind of technique that brings creative thought and creative solutions. Another technique that we came across is from a Time magazine, which had dedicated its whole issue to creativity. And Sarah and I got our hands on this. It's great. It's called Under the Hood of Creativity. It's, if you can get your hands on it too, it's brilliant. And there's an article in there called How the Brain Bends, Breaks and Blends. And this article states that our brains bend, break or blend ideas in the creative process. So for example, bending, the original is modified or twisted out of shape, for example, size or shape, like Slinkerchew here, you know, those like little mini artworks around it's street art, isn't it, Sarah? I think. Yeah. Then we've got breaking, which is something whole is taken apart and something new assembled out of fragments. And this automatically makes me think of cubism, Picasso here. And blending, combining two or more sources in novel ways, and that like Dali's image there. Now, these don't need to be artworks like the examples we've got here. It could be music, could be engineering, could be architecture, could be anything. So we came up with this activity, which kind of focuses on this blend, bend, break, and also brainstorming, which is another creative thought process as well. It starts like this, right? You tell your students, and this is very much, by the way, inspired by that illustration that Sarah showed of mine before, of the whale in the bag, plastic bag. So you tell your students that they're going to design a poster for an awareness campaign against plastic pollution in oceans. Okay, it's really important that they don't like move away from that. That's their goal, that's their objective. So individual work happens first. Step one, they write down all the things that they use that are plastic. Okay, Sarah, for example, what comes into your head there?
My pen, the mouse, my keyboard, my headset,
exactly.
the chair I'm sitting on is mostly plastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great. And what happens, you can give them post-its if you want. They just write loads and loads and loads of ideas. Again, you know, time, give them time to do this. Step two, write down all the things that are affected by plastic pollution. So Sarah, example would be
humans, animals, the environment, sea life, whales, dolphins, fish swallow an incredible amount of plastic.
Exactly. And everybody's like got all their ideas going on. And then the next step is group work. So step 3, they bring all these ideas together into their group and they show their words, the reasons why they wrote them, etc. This beautiful communicative activity going on here, pulling all these beautiful thoughts. And then here comes step 4, 5, and 6, blend, bend, and break. So tell the students to decide on 2 images to put together, one plastic and one thing that's affected by plastic pollution. Remember, they've got this awareness campaign, this poster that they're doing. So for example, that might be a bottle and a person. Sarah, what would you choose from yours?
I'll go for a plastic bottle as well, and a dolphin.
Okay, all right, okay. So they decide on that, then they bend. So they play with the size or the shape, modify it in some way, enlarge it, make it smaller. How does this change the image? You can say to them. So Sarah, what would you do? What make anything modify it?
I think I'm gonna make the bottle huge.
Nice.
And the dolphin quite small.
Ah, okay. All right. Interesting. And then step 6 is break. So think how to combine these images together. Remember, there are no rules. And what's its final message? Again, going back to the main purpose of this is the poster for this awareness campaign. What could you do with your big bottle and your small dolphin? Where would they go? What would it look like?
So I'm immediately thinking that instead of a sort of a regular piece of paper, right, I'd have the paper shaped like a bottle.
Nice.
So my poster would be shaped like a bottle and the dolphin would be inside, because I guess I feel like the dolphin is trapped by plastic and we're kind of screwing the lid on the top, and it can't breathe. It can't, we're suffocating the seas.
Brilliant.
That's my initial thought, Claire.
Well, no, that's like in what, a few minutes. Imagine like when you give more time for the students to do this. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And of course, then you can extend it where they actually do design the poster and present it, and it's a great little task to do. Now, one of the main obstacles to students becoming independent thinkers is that they do not always see the relevance or significance of what they're being asked to learn or being asked to do. Experts have criticized the tendency to rely on teaching from textbooks, which represent a body of knowledge that is cast in concrete. This results in students not being expected to interpret material or form their own opinions about it. And there's this great book. It's called The Little Book of Thunks by Ian Gilbert. It's a fantastic solution to this. It's got like 260 questions on a wide range of topics, right? That most importantly have no definitive answer. So Gilbert describes a thunk like this. A thunk is a beguiling question about everyday things that stop you in your tracks and helps you to start looking at the world in a whole new light. So what have we got? We got some examples here.
Okay, so can you know something without knowing that you know it? Is the future closer today than it was yesterday? Can you have a friend you don't like?
Don't answer that.
After the haiku situation, yes. What color is Thursday?
Yeah.
And what color would a zebra be if it lost all its stripes?
Absolutely. And by posing questions without definitive answers, students have to think for themselves. Here are some examples, right? We ask students some thunks, right? Those are some examples, sorry. Here we've got a quote from a student who actually did this, and they said, because thunks have no definitive answers, you can contribute anything you like without worrying that you may be wrong. That's interesting. It's great to discuss random things which you might not have thought of before, and they stimulate your thinking. It's good to listen to other people's perspectives on things. Brilliant. The students really enjoyed this intellectual challenges, arguing, expressing opinions, listening to others, dealing with uncertainty. There was a shift towards a more collaborative approach to learning, and this concluded that using thunks had an impact on the way students define intelligence. So moving away from simply rote learning, remembering, getting the right answers, moving on, to more towards a wider range of intellectual skills. So here are some ideas to incorporate thunks in your lessons out there. You could have a thunk of the day or week. So start or end the class with a thunk every time you meet. You could have a bell ringer thunk while waiting for students to arrive. Leave some thunks on each table or on your screen if you're online for students to ponder. And then a wall of thunks where students can provide the thunks themselves, or the teachers can, and they just put their answers up on the wall and everyone comes to discuss and wonder and ponder and all the rest of it. Wonderful. Now, education should leave room for more uncertainty and more student-led discovery, certainly when we're looking at creativity. So now we have to look at how to foster a sense of wonder. So now we've looked at how to foster a sense of wonder and encourage curiosity. By including these three techniques in lessons, this helps us to focus on the process of creative thought rather than just the final product, is where we usually go when we think of creativity. So what do we need to think about when planning creative lessons? Everyone can be creative, and creativity boosts happiness and well-being.
Also, we should avoid giving students a blank canvas and provide some interesting constraints that they can work with.
Yeah, get students to observe and explore.
Move away from book-bound, exam-focused lessons. Think about ways to inject some creativity into those kinds of tasks.
Yep, and provide ample time for wondering and thinking. And not every question has an answer. Education should leave room for uncertainty.
Okay, so we just did this, right, Claire? Explore ideas and techniques to engage students in creative thought.
Yeah, absolutely, we did. So where are we now? We asked you at the beginning, green, yellow, red. Now with these topics, are we a little bit more up the thermometer? Can you write green, yellow, red? We got some green, red, yellow, red, red.
Ah, nice.
Not more reds. Brilliant. Yellowish.
Fantastic.
I like yellowish.
All right, yellowish is great. So these are some really resources that we use when we're designing creative lessons, and that we use when we were designing this session today. So if you do have time, they're well worth a look. And of course, you can download this from the website as well. These are on our slides. And we do have some questions for you to walk away with to help you reflect on your current practice. Okay? So think about your own teaching. Think about your own perspective of creativity and how does this affect what you do in the classroom. Think about your students. In what circumstances are your students more creative? Do you actively seek ways to adapt course books in a creative way? What could you do differently? And do you give your students blank canvas activities, or do you provide constraints to encourage problem solving? So these are useful reflection questions that we would like you to walk away with and reflect on. For further information, questions, or just to say hello to us, you can get us on Facebook under Eltonics Connects, or you can email us, team@eltonics.com. But I think, Paul, you're going to throw us some questions now, right? Do we have time?
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. So that's good.
We do.
5 minutes.
Throw
Questions.
some thunk questions, Paul.
Yeah. Throw the thanks to Claire.
Okay.
And easy questions to me.
So Claire, I'd like you to produce a haiku in 30 seconds and how you think that went for you. While you're doing that, I'm just going to read out a comment which I think is lovely and pretty much sums up what a lot of people also think, including myself. I've been chuckling away throughout the whole webinar. So this is from Maria Caliparia. You can probably see it, but it says, "You both put a smile on my face throughout this webinar. Not only have you both given me food for thought, but you've given me colour to continue a creative journey."
Oh, that's amazing.
So that's fantastic.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's made my day, actually.
Yeah. No, let's just stop there before
that's it. Go out on a high.
Questions, no questions. So the first one I saw, which was put in a little while ago, which I think you've covered with the lovely Star Wars figure activity and a couple of others, was how can we as teachers encourage students to stimulate their creative side during writing classes? So Sahil, I think that's probably been answered. Hopefully that's been answered for you with the examples that Claire and Sarah have given. So we won't need to expand on that one.
We'll be giving with the next 2 sessions as well. We'll be giving lots and lots and lots of different writing and speaking examples, tasks. Yeah.
Great. Okay, this is an interesting one from Margarita. She says, question for Sarah and Claire: why apply certain constraints? They seem to be more like support or scaffolding to help students complete the task. I think we sort of covered that, but
they are actually the task. When you apply those constraints, that's part of the task itself. And you might, as English language teachers, our scaffolding would involve the language that we teach before, or the language that we want to play with, in terms of if we're producing a piece of writing, for example, or if we're doing a speaking activity. But the constraints are very much part of the task design, because without them, we're in blank canvas territory. And you saw what happened with the haiku, the initial one. So yeah, it is a part of the creative process, but it can be part of your scaffolding, but it's also part of your kind of final task.
It's that old analogy, isn't it? When you've got a blank canvas, you go blank.
Yeah.
It's that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. This is probably a question for me. I'll answer it at the end. Okay. Is it possible? Okay. Voila. Is it possible to create a game as homework and evaluate students? There's a couple of questions about evaluating and looking at the sort of the series that's sort of coming up, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're doing a session on creative feedback.
Yeah.
Which should answer those questions.
Dips its toes into assessment and evaluation. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. So those people who've asked questions about evaluation, come back for that.
Yeah, we haven't answered them. You've got to come back for them. Yeah.
All right.
Some lovely comments. Thank you. That's really
thank you so much.
Okay. Will we automatically receive invitations to the other sessions? No, you won't. We're not as technologically as advanced as that. So you need to. If you just go to the Teaching English website, and all of the webinars will be advertised on there as they become sort of confirmed. I think we've got the next one. We confirmed that, didn't we?
The
26th?
26th of May is our next one.
26th of May. But we'll obviously publish that and the information and registration. So Annalisa, 26th of May is when the next webinar will be. So
we've got a month to get nervous about it.
Yeah, exactly. A month to write a haiku.
With IATF in between.
Yeah.
I'd also like, if you try any of these things out with your students, we'd love to hear about them, either through Phonics Connects or through the comments at British Council. It'd be great to see some students' work even. It'd be lovely. Yeah.
Great. All right. I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. Just to say very quickly that all the links I've been putting into certificates and surveys and things like that, you will get an email tomorrow. So yes, I can see ASRA certificate link, please. I will just put it in again, but you will get an email tomorrow with those links as well. So don't worry if you can't access that from your phone or your tablet or whatever. So that was almost the last thing I was going to say. The last thing I was going to say is thanks very much again to Claire and Sarah.
Pleasure.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having us.
You've provided me with a very enjoyable hour. It's great. Really enjoyed it. So thank you ever so much for that. And yeah, well, we'll see you online in a month's time.
Yeah,
I'll see
sure.
you both in a couple of weeks in sunny Belfast. Hopefully.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Cool.
that's going to be great.
All right. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Take care, everyone.